So tell us about you. Who are you? Are you leading the course, and tell us about the team that will be leading the permaculture design course and how you guys, yeah, your story, and then how you got to this point of actually teaching this PDC here in Vilcabamba.
I am the coordinator and the primary teacher, and we have a great team of about 10 teachers. A slight majority of them are Ecuadorian. We have a very qualified team, and I'm hoping to deliver videos from each of them and make them available to you all. They're fantastic. And my background, I come from a ranching family in the high country of Colorado, but I grew up on the western slope on the eastern slope in Boulder, Colorado, and it was the Vietnam War that sent me out of the United States, had to get a different perspective, and ended up homesteading in British Columbia throughout the 70s, and learned to love gardening and learned probably the most important thing in my entire life, that happiness does not come from having more money, because those were some of my very best years, and I made about $400 a year in those years. And I learned the basics of gardening, and I developed a really deep bond with nature and how to listen to nature with every faculty, every sense that we're given in these human bodies. And then I returned to the United States and had a hunger when I was in my 30s to get out of the US again because of another horrible war. And my former husband and I spent 2 years in Africa. It was a Peace Corps project, but we were able to be quite successful. We got 10 different villages working with agroforestry methods. There, like here, agroforestry was increasingly important because there was no more virgin forest. And people had run into the boundaries of other people's farms. So they needed to learn how to recuperate the fertility of the soil and be able to farm in the same place without slashing and burning virgin forest.
Mm-hmm.
And that was such a huge learning experience. And we were actually doing permaculture there, mostly doing alley cropping, measuring the contour with the simple A-frame, growing nitrogen fixing trees on those contour lines that would stop the runoff. And then you come through and you cut them down with a machete, and you're growing your fertilizer on site. And it made a big splash in a small pond. Equatorial Guinea is a tiny country in West Africa. It was used as a model for a $2.5 million project that was in the European Union. And I returned then to the US and kept working and teaching and integrating the healing our bodies and healing the earth. And I took my first PDC and taught about what we did in Africa. And then I did the teacher training in 1990. And finally was able to buy a piece of dirt in Boulder County, very expensive, bought 2 hectares and headed it toward a place to teach permaculture, and ran into terrible laws in Boulder County that made it almost impossible for me to do permaculture on my agriculture zoned land, and landed me here in Vilcabamba. And I can tell you, man, I'm so glad to be here and to be in this life and this lifestyle. And Ecuador's constitution and the people and the way people work together make this a much easier place for us to be able to contribute and make a difference.